Good morning, students. Welcome to Success Tree classes. We will do India Yearbook 2017. It's a very beautiful government document that is important for both PT and mains. Now, the importance is much as there are many questions that are being asked in the PT exam as from current affair. So it will provide you authentic source for the government schemes. It is also important for analysis of the certain portion of mains as well. So the focus should be based on more of the new schemes, as the yearbook, if you see, compared to the last years, it has transformed itself a lot. It is more focused on the new government programs and initiatives. So we hope in the next, say, 10 to 12 classes, we'll try to complete this India yearbook. So I hope you will enjoy. If you like the videos, you hit like, subscribe to our channel as well, and you can comment as well if you wish, if you have any doubt. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Public debt. Public debt means by the government, debt of the government, right? So here it says public debt. It can be internal, external, other liabilities. Internal, it is issue securities. It does borrowing from the market. So all this come under the internal public debt. Similarly, external. How no? It's about the public debt, public external debt. So by way of ODAs, right? Official development assistance. Because no, that is something different. Here we're talking about debt. So once how the government does the borrowing, and it does the borrowing from the internal market within India, it is internal public debt, right? By issuing the treasury bills, various kind of securities it issues. Then when it does the same thing, or no, it cannot does when it borrows from the international market, it does not do so on say bilateral or multilateral basis. It does so by way of ODAs, that is official development assistance.
So why it called public?
Public government. When you say debt only, then it includes both. Then it could include ECBs as well.
Liability and borrowing.
Right? Then it is total debt, including public and private both.
No, there is a external debt represented loan received from the foreign government.
Foreign governments and military institutions, yes, right. But how it does is the way is by way of ODAs. Instrument is ODAs. Right? For example, Japan gives us highest amount of ODAs to us. Is there some doubt, Amit?
No. So international aid comes from ODA.
Yes. Other liabilities. Everything, aid, grant, assistance, everything that comes by way of ODAs. Other liabilities, all these liabilities, for example, post office saving deposits, deposits under small saving schemes, loan raised, all these are other liabilities. So this is public debt. The internal debt, this is you are more familiar with. You read in your economy part by way of government papers, dated securities, treasury bills. So these are by way of internal debt. Inflation, we have done this before as well. Okay, about inflation, बताइए. Now we have inflation targeting for the RBI. What is the target?
4 plus minus.
Right, 4%, and there is tolerance limit of 2%. Exactly. If it is not able to comply to that target for 3 consecutive quarters, then it has to report back why it has not been able to do so. Then certain strategy to meet up the targets and all. Then there is price stabilization fund. Right. What is this price stabilization fund?
So if there is a high inflationary condition in market, then RBI can contract money from the market by issuing bonds.
To suck out or given the liquidity in the market. So the money from this fund is used to stabilize the prices of commodities.
Commodities, yes, right, exactly.
For example, like pulses.
Pulses, right.
Commodities.
Till now, for the 3 commodities, it has been issued: pulses, potatoes, and onion. Right. So it is basically used for the import of those. So it is we are talking about measures to control inflation. What the government basically has done in the previous years to control inflation. So one way is price stabilization fund to check volatility of prices of essential commodities, in particular of pulses. But it has been issued for potatoes, onions, and pulses. For 3 commodities, it has been done. So what it does for the imports of those
distribution,
right, for all these activities, it is done. Then it takes action on the black marketing under Essential Commodities Act. So remember this act as well, Essential Commodities Act. Just like APMC has it mandates for the first sale to the those mandis, right? Essential Commodities Act, it includes each and everything: production, selling, stocking, every kind of the that comes in the value chain that comes under essential commodities. So it also puts limit on the hoarding and stocking, that also comes under Essential Commodities Act. Then we have revised monetary policy framework. Now this is about the targeting, inflation targeting. Based on which committee it was accepted? Yes, good, Urjit Patel committee. So it says this tolerance level, that is 2% plus minus 2%. If RBI not able to comply for 3 consecutive quarters, then it has to state the reason why it has not been able to do so and what the strategy would be. It says it, then it had discussed about something about that RBI had taken certain steps to reduce the rates, which rate, repo rate basically, and but it had not been commensurated with the, or if I ask people,
market rates
right,
Loans from banks.
transmission of monetary policy. So
Yeah,
what is monetary policy transmission, Kavi?
So transmission from RBI to people via banks.
Yeah, you are correct about it. Means when, yes.
Yeah, if RBI is decreasing or increasing rates, then banks should also increase or decrease their lending
Yes,
rates.
and when it is not reflected, it is this phenomenon is transmission of monetary policy, but it has not been observed in the say last 2 3 years. In the last 1 year, it has been somehow observed, but in the say 14, 15, 15, 16, a huge issue was there regarding monetary policy transmission, incomplete transmission of monetary policy. So now RBI does any changes in the policy rates. So if the banks, they were not doing the same, right? What could have been the reasons?
NPA.
Inflation.
One could be the NPA reason.
NP, yes, good. It is one of the good reasons.
Another social obligation like
बताइए
dull
कुछ
market conditions throughout the dull market conditions throughout the
explain करिए, how do you explain it?
Because of twin rate balance sheet problems, NPAs were created. Firstly, and secondly, the European and the American market was dull during that time. So monetary prices, the commodity prices dropped throughout the world also. So that signaled.
What the question is, why there was no transmission, incomplete transmission of monetary policy? So
because banks weren't willing to lend that freely because the market was dull, and I was giving why for the reasons for the
but still you have not come to this right logic. You have told the reason for why there has been decline in credit growth.
Yes.
But this was not my question. Even though you may have somehow linked it, but you're giving answer to why there was
Already so much of
yes.
NPA that banks.
How NPA issue है, right?
Yes.
Sir, competition worried private bank.
What other thing?
Banks are still worried to give new loans.
Bank is now apprehensive. They are not saying that
right.
after lending it, we will be able to recover.
Yes.
So
Right.
Asset.
Right. So NPA is one issue. You say stress asset is one, right?
Sir,
but don't yes.
Competition from private banks, they are giving more interest on the saving account.
नहीं इतना कोई खास difference नहीं है, नहीं.
Banks are not borrowing.
You can give the reason. Another reason could be competition from the small saving schemes.
Market sentiment as a whole is.
Right. See, regarding NP, you could say this transmission was not seen in the lending rates. Right. But when you see competition from small saving schemes, this transmission is not seen in the deposit rates as well.
APF is giving 8.5.
Right. Right. When small saving schemes are giving the higher rate of interest, they are not able to say decline it further with declining repo rate by the RBI, because they could lose their people, they could lose their customers. So you could bifurcate this question in 2 parts. One thing is why there is incomplete transmission in the lending rates, then the reason is NPAs, and why there is the same scenario in the deposit rates, then it could be this competition from small saving schemes. Okay, now come to next, foreign exchange reserve. Okay, we are having very good forex. How much forex do we have now? Hmm? Yeah, around 360.
367.
Right, so around 360, 367, whatever. So around $360 billion we have the forex. What all comes under forex? Now we have done this before as well. Bataiye, what comes under forex? It's your economic question.
SDR.
It's given there. You can read it even. Yes. Foreign currency assets, then gold, SDRs, and RTP. Right, and this is given in the decreasing order. Remember this thing as well. These foreign currency assets, they constitute around 93% of overall forex. So you can see huge maximum quantum is of FCAs, foreign currency assets. Then gold, SDRs, and RTP. RTP is what? Reserve transposition in IMF. What is this? Yes, Priya, do you remember? RTP. Question आ सकता है. Say the question can be in the way of declining constituents of forex. So this is the correct order: FCAs, gold, SDR, and RTP. Yes, Abhishek.
Difference between a member's quota and in IMF. That is
You're going in the correct direction. So what
Sir,
actually happened? Yes.
there is a fund that is the member country has to deposit in the IMF in the form of the exchange value is converted. For example, 500 crore. In that in the form of LDRs.
Mhm. So thing is what say IMF, International Monetary Fund, multilateral institution, it is right. So every country they deposit certain amount of funds to IMF, then only it is able to lend to the different countries, right? Then different countries they have a different kind of obligation in terms of different proportion. They have to contribute to IMF fund. Okay. Now this depends upon their quota. What are the quota they have as per their size of economy or whatever the different parameters they are. So means whatever every country they have to contribute to IMF. Right. Now this contribution can be in terms of SDRs and somewhat in terms of its own currency. So what this RTP is, country's total contribution minus its contribution in its own currency.
That is his contribution in another country.
Yes. This contribution can be in foreign currency or in SDR. Now, how there is accretion of foreign exchange reserve? So either there can be excess capital flows, there can be excess current flows as well, right? And valuation gains and loss. What is this valuation gain loss?
So in terms of payment,
So if a commodity X was one after 10 years, what the value enhanced?
Then what is to do with our forex then? Which commodity? It could be in terms of, for example, value of gold, because gold is a part of forex. It could be also our exchange rate, the dollar with respect to dollar as well. Means one thing is it's about the gold basically, right? So when the gold rate changes, so it could change, valuation gain could be there, valuation loss could be there. Then infrastructure financing. So here we discuss about infrastructure and what could be the different mechanism for the financing of infrastructure. One is bank finance, second is institutional finance. For that we have IIFCL, there is India Infrastructure Finance Company Limited. Then we have infrastructure debt funds, so offshore institutional investors, so they could invest. Then we have REITs, Infrastructure Investment Trust, so real estate investment trust and infrastructure investment trust. These are for financing real estate and infrastructure projects. So these are trust-based structure that maximize returns from efficient tax pass through an improved governance structure. So read this one. REITs, what their role is: real estate investment trust and infrastructure investment trust. Then municipal borrowings could be there. So to strengthen our local governments, the municipal bodies, the local urban local bodies, so they could also raise finance through the capital markets for financing infrastructure projects as well. So by issuing of the municipal bonds or by other ways. So guidelines for issuance of municipal bonds in India have been notified by SEBI. Now, if you remember, this thing was discussed in our economic survey as well, as a way to raise resources for the urban local bodies by way of municipal bonds. Then there could be tax-free bonds, securitization trust as well. Then one thing you discuss about speedy project implementation, facilitation, debottlenecking of stalled projects. About a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago around, this was a very prominent issue regarding stalled projects.
Yes.
What do you mean by this, stalled projects? Yes, right. That started, but it stalled in between because of various issues. Issues could be why it got stalled. It could be one, as she mentioned, that clearance issues could be there. Other things could be
Unclear laws.
what?
Sir, unclear laws.
तो उसी के अंदर ही हम लगा सकते हैं, राइट? हाँ?
No coordination between departments like the bridge issue, department of
Bridge issue.
railway and IS. Unprofitable business.
This is because see the market condition. They started as of hoping to get returns, right? But as the twin balance sheet problem as well, banks are not able to lend properly.
They're not able to do that.
And so as they're not getting the money sufficiently to run the project, how could they just function further? So their own business not profiting and also declining credit growth in the banks as well. So there could be the multiple issues that impacted or accentuated the problem of stalled projects. But somehow with the government focus on the major, because at that time it was said that the top 100 projects by way of the value, if they were targeted, it could solve around 80% of the problem of the stalled projects. So government targeted those top projects, and somehow this issue declined in its. Then how it was done? Then this is the mechanism. PMG is there, Project Monitoring Group. It was earlier in Cabinet Secretariat, now under PMO. For facilitation, for faster clearances, each and everything, so that the project they don't get stalled and they, for the smooth clearance of these projects. So what is there? Project Monitoring Group. Remember this as part of the governance. What the government has done in way of, say, good governance or efficient governance in different ways, you can use this example. Then PPPs could be another way for financing the infrastructure projects. But there had been certain issues regarding PPs we had seen because of now there are certain initiatives that this yearbook discuss about. So now these, what are the discussion we're doing? This is more important for the mains basically, right? Infrastructure, PPPs, their issues, what could be the mechanism further. So you need to differentiate what is important for PT and what is for mains, so that you revise now for PT purpose only. So what are initiatives for promoting PPPs? Then there is Triple PAC, Public-Private Partnership Appraisal Committee. So there had been issues regarding institutional arrangements for appraisal and approval of PP projects. So this appraisal committee is there. Then standardizing the bidding document. Then financial support by VGF, Viability Gap Funding. Then Indian Infrastructure Finance Company Limited. Then there are way of helping those projects by way of certain practitioner guides, information dissemination. These are given as PPP India .gov.in and all these things. So what are the basic issues under PPP? Now we had seen decline in the private sector investment and stalling of the projects. So this is the observed phenomena. And flows in allocating risk and rigidities in contractual arrangements, because we had seen certain times these PPP projects not working out in a good way. How this airport expressway, then Reliance just moved out of this project. Even this Delhi Gurgaon expressway, again there was issues regarding that. So many issues kept on coming between in the PPP projects in view of risk sharing as well as kind of the profit and all. So certain times the project was not economically viable. So the private, they cannot maintain it for the longer period of time for that purpose. Limited institution capacity of the government ministries, issues in the regulation, enforcement, monitoring. So these are certain major weaknesses in the PPP contract framework. Then there was whatever the solution comes to your mind, it is one of the major solution, that is Kelkar Committee on Revisiting and Revitalizing the PPP. So if you discuss about PPP, if you discuss about the infrastructure and how to revive it, so Kelkar Committee recommendation are the one. So even you don't remember the exact recommendation, even mentioning the name would do the work. So remember it. And remember the whole name, Kelkar Committee for Revisiting and Revitalizing the Public-Private Partnership Projects. So it gave certain recommendation, for example, independent regulators. Now this is not given in yearbook. So as I thought it to be relevant, so let's discuss it. For mains it is important. And question won't come directly what is Kelkar Committee recommendation. So but you have to use it somewhere. So independent regulator, then amendment to the Prevention of Corruption Act. Now why there is need for this amendment? Yes, because we have seen the various kind of institutions like CBI, the police, and different other institutions, the courts, even
The most
CAG.
example was of the coal secretary.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly right. So basically, when any of the administrator takes a decision, it could be the genuine decision, and any kind of the post-mortem work that happens upon, it happens on the changed circumstances, with the availability of more evidences, availability of the more data at that period of time. Now when an administrator had taken a decision, it had taken a decision on the availability of information available at that period of time. After a couple of years, scenario change. Now say, okay, aisa to it is totally a wrong decision. Anybody could say that. So that's why there is need to clarify between the genuine errors in decision making and cases of graft, so that the administrators, they can take decisions without fear and favor. Because basic idea regarding any of the mechanism for the vigilance is what, that administrators that take decision without fear and favor, isn't it? But what is actually happening with this implementation of PCA? They're taking decision with fear, as they could be prosecuted, and people who are doing favor, they are not at all concerned about it, because they know how to just get away with it. So even the present system is not so much deterrent as well, also, but is deterrent to the good decision makers. So this is the way how to put it. Now in this budget also, certain recommendation was made, if you remember, in this budget regarding. So there was certain regarding public utility projects and all. So certain issues were to be resolved. How to do that? With certain amendment act was to be done, if you remember.
So regarding what?
Regarding the same issue, that in the PPP projects or in certain other infrastructure projects, what the government is proposing.
They created some agency and hybrid Annuity model was also created.
That is given of the model, fine, yes. And that model is basically for what? On the road projects, on the highways, for the highways, basically that hybrid annuity model is. So certain arbitration amendment act they was supposed to be done. So in this year budget only they have discussed about it. So they propose to address this issue. So the public utility projects and other projects, PPP issues, they were to be resolved by certain amendment to the Arbitration Act. So here we have infrastructure. So these are all the developments. So these are important for your mains point of view a lot. Whatever the initiatives taken in infrastructure, so this could be used as an example what the government is looking for. Here we have a mechanism to streamline institutional arrangement for resolution of disputes in infrastructure, related construction contracts, PPP, and public utility contracts. So by amendment to the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So this is the government mechanism, proposed mechanism. So by doing amendment to the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, we will try to bring a mechanism to bring out institutional arrangement for resolution of the disputes in these kind of the projects. Infrastructure, related construction contracts, PPP, and public utility contracts. Right, so remember it, link it to where. So if the question comes regarding infrastructure or PPP, so you have Kelkar committee recommendation, you have here this as well, and try to link by different ways what could be the other issues. You could link to the banking issue as well, because twin balance sheet also becoming an issue coming as a. So again you can bring several mechanism for that. So there it's a multi-dimensional question it is. Then ECB framework that was liberalized. Now we have separate in terms of three tracks. That is medium term foreign currency denominated ECB, long term foreign currency denominated ECB, and Indian rupee denominated ECB. The third one is called as masala bonds. Yes. Last year question was asked from this. So now this new ECB framework, it's more in line with the international standards, economic and business environment. So it gives about the various mechanisms, how this will help further. A framework for overseas issuance of rupee denominated bonds, and the question has already been asked, so I don't think so they will ask again, but still you could go through it, that how rupee denominated borrowings from overseas. SDFC issued the first lot of those bonds, so any corporate body could do that.
There is one plain vanilla.
I didn't see through it, you just check it.
So what all flavor like apart from vanilla, what all?
Dim sum bonds
Huh?
by Japan.
What?
Dim sum bonds by Japan.
What are you saying? Speak loudly.
Dim
So,
sum
like,
momos.
in India, we issue masala bonds, and in Japan, they issue dim sum bonds.
Missile bonds.
Dim sum.
Dim sum bonds.
Dim sum
Okay.
momos.
Okay, momos.
Vanilla is the most simplistic.
Momo.
Vanilla is what?
It's the most simplistic.
Most
For
simpli-
example, masala is exotic.
Okay.
It is three different complex instruments.
Okay.
Fancy breaking down. So
Then-
any instrument you are buying, any share you are buying, they are simply plain vanilla.
Okay.
Is a
It's
term
kind of
to
plain.
describe any tradable asset or financial instrument in the financial world that is the simplest, most standard version of that asset.
Right, good. Now we come to the next one. So I think everybody got this point. Vanilla bonds. SEBI prohibition of insider trading regulations. So where this can be used regarding good governance, corporate governance basically. So part of your paper 4 and paper 2 as well. 3 also you can say. Prohibition of insider trading. So this regulation they were updated in 2015 and they have replaced the previous regulations. So now we have in the current guidelines we have what more disclosure, more transparency, system driven disclosure. Owners of disclosure shifted from individual companies to the security market infrastructure. Then there is right. So not for the PT, but you can remember it that these kind of regulations are there. SEBI prohibition of insider trading regulations. So along with Companies Act 2000, Companies Amendment 2016 as well as Act 2015, you could use this as also a mechanism to infuse corporate governance basically. Then there is Financial Stability Development Council. Just remember the name only. I didn't find them much important, but still you could go through it once. Even their old mechanism 2010, 2009. So we have Financial Stability Development Council, then Financial Stability Board. This is under aegis of G20. So uh, different countries they are.
So it deals with global economy, the strength of financial strength. And IMF sees.
Right, so Financial Stability Board, what they say, so different national authorities of different countries they are brought together and financial institutions for addressing the vulnerabilities and developing and implementing strong regulatory supervision and the policy and interest of financial stability. So basic issue is to bring the financial stability in the country. Then Financial Stability Assessment Program. So regarding financial stability, we have a couple of mechanisms. For example, this Financial Stability and Development Council. One is council, one is board, and one is program regarding financial stability. Now this assessment program is of IMF and World Bank. It's a joint program of IMF and World Bank. And IMF has made it mandatory for these 25 jurisdictions, including India, with systematically and important financial sectors to undergo financial stability assessment under every 5 years based on the size and interconnectedness of their financial sectors.
So based on this 2016 September, systematically important banks.
Yes.
This RBI, SBI and ICICI.
SIBs.
DSIBs.
So this board, Financial Stability Board, under aegis of G20, this assessment program, joint program of IMF and World Bank. Monetary policy framework, again the same thing between government and RBI. So what it does? So members of RBI as well as say other members, specialist members, nominated members, professionals. So by select committee will select those members. So it has been done so by amending the RBI Act. So it is given the statutory status, this monetary policy committee. Now 6 members, 3 members of RBI, including governor, who will be the official chairperson, deputy governor, and 1 officer of RBI. So these will be the 3 members of monetary policy committee. Other 3 appointed by the central government on the recommendation of search cum selection committee. And these people would be the experts in field of economics, banking, finance, or monetary policy. And for 4 years, they will be appointed without reappointment. So these are conditions for these monetary policy committee. Meetings 4 times a year. Publicize its decision after each such meeting. So what it shows? It shows more transparency. How it does otherwise till now, whenever RBI just changes the rate. Nobody knows how it does so, on what basis it has increased or decreased, right? So, but now there will be more transparency of the decisions. Sorry?
There's a more check and balances.
Yes, you can say that definitely. More accountability could be ensured. More democratic process it is,
Public voices are more.
right? Because now more people are able to decide over it, right? Yes.
So governors haven't decided vote.
Hmm?
The
Yes,
RBI were
that's
deciding
the
vote
most important.
and quorum of
What
four
are you saying?
members included.
That the deciding vote is still with the
RBI.
government.
Yes, right.
So practically
Right.
RBI will be
Throughout-
having the
Because
power.
throughout the world there is a relation between inflation and the
Mhm.
independence of central
Correct,
bank.
correct.
The more independent central bank is, the less the inflation.
Right.
Practically MPC is RBI.
But still it brings transparency,
And
whatever
we have
it
added
does.
transparency and accounting
Mhm.
to that as well.
Good. So again, target 4%, tolerance limit 2%. So 6% and 2% becomes again it if not follows for 3 consecutive quarters. The same thing it has to report why not and what should be done. Then this insolvency and bankruptcy code, you read it. It's not given much in this yearbook, so it's better you read it from your other sources. It's important, very important. This act is insolvency and bankruptcy code. So what you can do, even you can search if you just find someone, so you can search that as well. So just see through it in your this bankruptcy code is very important. This is for both PT and mains. It is important. G20 know about it. Okay, for PT you can see where are the meetings. Right, 10th meeting last to last year. Antalya, where? Turkey. Hangzhou, China, and 17 this year it will be in Hamburg in Germany. Right. Why these are important? Because in PT question geography they ask certain kind of questions. Right. So certain places, now these places they don't ask out of anywhere. They have certain relevance. They are in news. That's why they ask these kind of questions. When certain meetings, certain international these kind of institution meeting they happen. So those places they ask, and they're directly these are asked. Uh, I think last year different places were asked. For example, one was from Brazil. I don't remember the different name. Fortaleza, right? Yes. So they had certain BRICS meeting happened or what? Right? BRICS meeting happened, right? So they asked Fortaleza for that purpose. So
And Jordan is also asked the head of that pilot.
right? So how you can see through it? See, you know the important institutions. See their this year meeting, last year meetings. Till last year you can see at least 16 and 17. In 17, if any meeting has happened, see through it the place. Same in 16, any meetings happened, see through it and locate in the map basically. Don't just read the country name, because sometimes they ask in the say arrangement north to south, east to west, so you have some idea about it. So which institution you will look for? So for example G20. Now then the institution of which India is a member, the important institutions, right? So BRICS, SARC, IBSA, if any of these meetings they happen, BIMSTEC, right? Other say Rice in a dialogue, their meetings also happened. So last year these meetings were held. Then there were certain where India had been made a member, SCO summit, right? Now India has been made a member of it along with Pakistan. So their meetings, if they had been held in the recently.
Basically, read the world map.
Yes, so read along with what meetings these institutions they have met somewhere. So BRICS finance and economic cooperation, you have regarding same as SARC development, no need to go through it much. Indo-Japan relation, they say Japan is the largest bilateral donor to India by way of ODA. So ODA is the instrument by which it does it. Now come to IMF. So in IMF, it talks about IMF reforms. Right. So the reforms in IMF they had been long pending. The reforms they happened. So the quotas they were revised. So as it had been seen that various emerging economies there had been growing a lot, their contribution was a lot to the all over global economy, but their recognition in these institutions that was very low. For example, China, India, basically. So China got the highest increase in quota in the last reforms. India also same way. It has increased its quota. So it says shareholding is now 2.75%. So though it increased in point five something somewhere around, ranking its eighth in total. So just remember this thing when you talk about IMF reforms. So this is one point. So quota reforms that has happened. International Finance Corporation, the World Bank it is. Now we have BRICS, New Development Bank, NDB. Right. So NDB. So along with AIB, so AIB is China-led bank. It is AIB. Now here NDB is BRICS Bank. So KV Kamath from India is the first president. Where is NDB is situated?
Shanghai.
Shanghai. Yes, correct. Good. The purpose: infrastructure and sustainable development financing. Asian infrastructure, the name itself signifies. So says India is one of the founding members. So initially, what about AIB? Every other country, basically US and US-led countries, they denied initially to join AIB. But leaving, say, US and Japan, every other country they came into and joined AIB as a founding member, basically. So that shows somehow increasing clout of China, right? Because these countries also want to gain from this corridor, from because AIB will on one side will definitely it's one way of financing this Xi Jinping's pet project of One Belt One Road initiative, and now they have started a train as well. You can see from London to China. Right? So that shows see the extension of the railways and how well they're using the railways for the increasing influence in the international fora as well. So when we compare India and China in terms of railways, at about 1990, India had around 62,000 kilometers of railways, and China had less than us, 58,000 kilometers of the railway. expansion. In a more than a decade time, then China expanded to 94,000 kilometers. Now they have reached to London as well. And we expanded only 2,000 kilometers. We expanded to 64,000 kilometers in more than a decade time. And more importantly, you can see how China is using railways as a way. One way is connectivity. Secondly, how this connectivity is being used in terms of strategic as well. Because one belt, one road initiative, it has a strategic component. It exactly it wants to increase its dominance in this Asia Pacific Eurasian region. So that's why India can also do the same. So you can propose the same way that India can also, for example, with Bangladesh, we started, in the recent meeting with the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. So we made an agreement to revive the railway lines with Bangladesh, right? So you can further use it in the in Southeast Asian
So
economies.
in Mekong Ganga also they are planning to extend over Ghana.
Yes,
Road.
yes, we are
Sure.
doing the trilateral highway. We are making,
Meghalaya.
right. So
Sorry.
India, Myanmar, Thailand, right, trilateral highway. Then further, RIDF under NABARD. So basically, banks, they were not able to say shortfall in those PSL, priority sector lending targets. So they could fund RIDF, and further that fund could be used in the various activities in the rural development. Agriculture, now that scope was increased to more activities. So the government also allocate every year certain fund to the RIDF. So remember this thing only, RIDF operationalized by NABARD. There are certain schemes, Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana by LIC, BPL, and now come to this Atal Pension Yojana. The question was asked last year, I think.
Yes.
Atal Pension Yojana. Okay. The implementing authority administered by PFRDA. Who all are the beneficiaries? 18 to 40 years. They'll get the pension. So it's a pension Yojana. So pension, how they will get? By a contribution. So even the individual will contribute, but the benefit was government will also contribute 50% of that. And there is a limit as well. So minimum pension 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So how this pension is varying depending upon the contribution. When the person joined it, because there's between 18 to 40 years, the person can join, and it will decide upon how much the person will get the pension also. So at the age of 60 years, with a minimum monthly contribution, so the person will get the pension as per of this kind of minimum pension. Yeah, this was one of the points, that after the subscriber's demise, the spouse of the subscriber shall be entitled to receive the same pension amount as that of the subscriber until the death of the spouse. So the same it was one of the points there.
Along with that, a lump sum amount.
Sorry.
Along with that, she or he will get the lump
Okay.
sum amount as well.
And after demise of both of the subscribers and spouse, the nominee shall get whatever the amount that had accumulated till the age of 60 years. Because till 60 years, the person had been contributing whatever had come. So the nominee will get it. Who are the eligible beneficiaries? Who are not income taxpayers and who are not covered under any statutory social security schemes and are entitled to receive the contribution by government of 50% of total pension prescription contribution of 1,000 per annum for a period of 5 years. So for 5 years the government will contribute how much? Maximum 1,000 rupees. So even the government will support, but it is the maximum amount that the government will contribute. Then unorganized sector people, now they also, this now till now there was Swavalamban scheme. Now after Atal Pension Yojana, now they have been migrated to Atal Pension Yojana. So to encourage the workers in unorganized sector to save voluntarily for their old age. So remember, it's Swavalamban scheme, important for PT and mains both, because unorganized sector, it is very important sector for the mains exam as well. So now you can Atal Pension Yojana directly instead of Swavalamban scheme. And what is their health scheme for the unorganized sector?
Health schemes.
राष्ट्रीय स्वास्थ्य
क्या कह रहे हैं?
प्रधानमंत्री राष्ट्रीय स्वास्थ्य
राष्ट्रीय स्वास्थ्य बीमा योजना. Now come to next, insurance sector.
So Swavalamban is still in existence or it's been subsumed in Atal Pension Yojana?
Now, what it says you can see there, up to year 2016-17, new enrollments under Swavalamban has been stopped upon the launch of Atal Pension Yojana. So now these people, they are being into Atal Pension Yojana. So why insurance sector is important? You can read it for mains. It could be. Then Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. So three schemes are launched simultaneously: Atal Pension, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, and Suraksha Bima Yojana. So these three schemes, they were launched together. Now what is Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana? Insurance, accidental insurance. So 1 year life insurance scheme, renewable year after year, and offering coverage of 2 lakh rupees for death due to any reason. So death due to any reason, here it is. Yes. People 18 to 50 years, life cover of 50 years of life cover up to 55 years of age and having a bank account who give their consent to join and enable auto debit. How much is the contribution? 330. And for this Suraksha Bima Yojana? Huh? One is 12 rupees. Are you sure it's 12 for? Yes, right. Correct.
जीवन ज्योति 330
Correct. So what they say, it is even how they tries to publicize it. They say it is even less than 1 rupee per day. So this was how they said about it. So it's 330 rupees per annum. And here it is, how much? So for Suraksha Bima Yojana, 12 rupees per year. So 1 रुपये महीना जो है यहाँ पर इन सुरक्षा बीमा योजना. So it's again 1 year personal accidental insurance, renewable year to after year, both death and disability, 18 to 70 years. Risk coverage will be 2 lakh rupees for accidental death and permanent total disability, and 1 lakh for permanent partial disability. So 18 to 70 years is the age limit for Suraksha Bima. Here it is 18 to 50 years. And for Pension Yojana it was 18 to 40. Jandan Yojana.
Life cover up to 55 years of age.
Sorry.
Life cover up to 55 years of age.
It says that 1 year life insurance scheme renewable available to people in the age of 18 to 50 years and life cover up to 55 years of age. So any of these people, they can join, and I think because
If you are 60, then you will not get any benefit.
yeah,
If you die
it appears
55
because
only.
there are more and more kind of health issues along with increase in age as well. So maybe this could be the concern.
55 is the last estimated age.
So this is certain writer the government has put. The life cover will get up to 55 years of age.
So what is the implementing agency for both of them?
Jandan Yojana, read it. I'm not sure. You just check it for yourself.
So different banks there in ICICI.
Yeah, banks, they can implementing agency. You just see through it. In any bank, yes.
National.
Jandan Yojana, the question is asked in the mains also. The question has been asked this year, last year. So see through it. What are the basic components of Jandan Yojana? So what do you understand by financial inclusion? Because question has appeared regarding financial inclusion and contribution of Jandan Yojana, right? So first to tell what is financial inclusion in the first paragraph. So what is financial inclusion?
Literating the last person of the bracket, like trickle down fact.
From the queue.
Right. So
empowering-
tell a
empowering
comprehensive understanding. Tell a comprehensive. Yes, बताइए कुछ.
For empowering them financially, that could be by medium attaching to plan, making them literate, having an awareness.
Yes. So bring all these components. First, their bank accounts, right? Providing them the banking and financial services. Various services also the bank provides, right? Financial literacy as well. So all these components, they collectively that goes for the financial inclusion. So financial inclusion includes having the bank accounts, financial services, various services. You can give example: pension, insurance, various services bank provides.
And also
Right.
the elimination for the fear of including the financial.
And literacy as well, financial literacy also. How many bank accounts have been opened? What the government data says? 26 crore. 26 crore. By December 2016, 26 crore accounts have been opened under Jandan Yojana. Now it gives the components you can see there: universal access to banking facilities for all households across the country. Secondly, at least one basic bank account with RuPay debit card having inbuilt accidental insurance cover of 1 lakh, overdraft facility of 5,000 rupees after satisfactory operation in the account for 6 months. So if there is considerable, so for 6 months if the account has been opened in the operation after that, 5,000 rupees overdraft facility. Life cover of 30,000 rupees to those beneficiaries who open their accounts for the first time from this period. So these are components of Jandan Yojana. Even the question can come, which of the following are correct about Jandan Yojana? So remember these, it's very important, and government has put a huge stake on popularizing Jandan Yojana. So the question can be asked in PT as well. So last year mains it has been asked, in PT it may be asked. So go through the points once again. Then Mudra Yojana. Has the question been asked last year from Mudra? So it's important scheme. The question can be asked.
सर इसको रिवर्स करके पूछ सकते हैं.
क्या पूछ सकते हैं?
सर क्योंकि we have almost double the number of sick SMEs despite 2 years ago it was like 2,28,000, now it's almost 5,00,000. Lok Sabha this question
The
was
sick,
up.
sick
So why
right.
this schemes these due to these schemes this is going forward.
So in mains the question can be asked. Yes,
sir.
Because in mains the question was asked like this way only,
Yes,
regarding financial inclusion.
Yes. Despite
What was
these
the
schemes,
question? That first they asked about financial inclusion, what is there, and it asked whether Jandan Yojana has been able to bring financial inclusion in India.
yes.
So it's a very analysis you have to do, right? You have to show whether really it has contributed a lot.
Jandan will be
We show.
included, yes.
What?
So Jandan will be the outcome is totally positive.
Positive, but we cannot take a single stand.
Yes.
Do you see really? Do you have financial inclusion? So you can't say that. So we have to show both ways that yes, it has been able to do so. Why? Give the reasons. What are the? Then you can talk about no. Still, we don't find. There are certain data with it. Still, it says around 45%. Still, you can say that the saving bank account penetration in India is still 45%, and only around 26% villages they have banks within 5 kilometer reach. So how financial inclusion? So these are certain data that shows that though we have improved, but still we have not reached to the stage of full financial inclusion in India. Now, so Mudra Yojana, it's important Yojana it is. So for PTs, you read and go in deep about it, the different points. The objective, it's a refinance institution for the development of micro units by extending funding support to encourage entrepreneurship in India. 3 products, Shishu, Kishore and Tarun. See the limit of the funding for those. What is the limit? Bataiye. Exactly, good. So 50,000, up to 50,000 is Shishu, then 50,000 to 5 lakh Kishore, 5 lakh to 10 lakh Tarun. And maximum amount of loan to be given in which category? Shishu. So ye bhi exact, I don't remember the proportion, but yeah, maximum, see through it, maximum proportion to be given in Shishu. नाम से पता लग रहा है Shishu means small, right? These stages, they signify stage of growth and funding needs. So what they will refinance through state level institutions, NBFCs, MFIs. So these basically Mudra will refinance those institutions which are financing the MSMEs. Now agriculture has also been included. So remember this point. Now funding support will not only go to the areas of, for example, say manufacturing, processing, trading and service sector, but also to agriculture also.
So allied agriculture activities, not
Yes.
direct.
Exactly, allied agriculture activities. Now this point is very important. There is no subsidy. Don't get the misconception that this Mudra Yojana is giving certain subsidy to the MSME units. This is not giving any subsidy. It's just only assuring that you will get the loan, right? But if there are any existing subsidy program, any government program to give the subsidy, then in that case, those MSEs will get the benefit of that particular subsidy.
So there is no provision of collateral securities that has to be furnished.
No collaterals.
No. So no subsidy for the loan given under PMMY. However, if the loan proposal is linked to any of the state central government scheme, when the government is providing capital subsidy, the same would be extended under PMMY as well. It gives that any citizen who is otherwise eligible to take loan and has a business plan for a small business enterprise can avail Mudra loan up to 10 lakh. So these are different components under Mudra Yojana. Then Deepam, benefits of disinvestment. Read this this highlighted part. It gives you an understanding about benefits of disinvestment. For mains, it could be important. For PT, you can easily figure it out. What could be the benefits? So the funds, they are to be channelized into National Investment Fund. This Deepam, whatever the resources are mobilized by disinvestment will be channelized to National Investment Fund. Now, what are the benefits of disinvestment? It says to promote people's ownership of CPSEs, to share in their prosperity through disinvestment, then enables efficient management of public investment in CPSE for accelerating economic development and augmenting government resources for higher expenditure. Then development, also whenever CPSEs are listed, because whenever you offload the shares, then they are being traded in the market, in the capital market. So it also helps in the development and deepening of capital market and spread equity culture. Help raise budgetary resources of the government. You can see the multiple benefits of disinvestment. So read and remember all of these. Read them again.
So is there any provision like the proceed of disinvestment will be used in welfare schemes only?
Yes, there is a provision under this National Investment Fund is there, right? So now The scope was broadened. So we'll come to that point. How the first point? To promote people's ownership of CPSCs to share in their prosperity through disinvestment. Explain the first point, Anchit. To promote people's ownership of central public sector enterprises to share in their prosperity through disinvestment.
The proceeds would be disbursed among the
नहीं,
undertaking.
disinvestment to public will buy.
Yes, public will buy.
ITOs.
What the idea is, once government does the disinvestment, so it offloads the share actually. People buy it, and people have the share. Now there are more and more chances for the better performance of the public sector. With the better performance, those people will gain in the prosperity along with the prosperity of the institution.
What sort of guarantee is that?
No, there is no guarantee, but we are hopeful of it.
No guarantee.
You can see there. Okay, read the benefits again. Enables efficient management, that you understand easily, because now more private holding would be there, right? But the idea in disinvestment is government won't lose the ownership. It also helps in augmenting or developing the capital market and equity culture. Yes, Amit, बताइए benefits of disinvestment. For mains, it is important question.
Yes, sir. This investment will promoting the people to
What is disinvestment first?
reduce the government partnership or proportion of equity stake in the public sector unit, and
How much? How much it could be reduced?
till I think 51%. Otherwise, the
Right.
management, yeah.
That will be sell out.
Then benefits?
Benefits, the government can borrow money and can take money from the
No, don't say borrow. It's not borrowing.
Augmenting
Can get money from the public through selling of the share of the PCUs.
So it will increase eventually it will increase the working, because this investment would bring in more private blood, like private.
Yes,
blood into
exactly.
the-
So more efficiency, more professional management.
Yes.
What else?
Public ownership will be losing government budgetary resources.
Exactly, more resources. Then equity culture, capital market deepening. So capital market deepening and equity culture. So this is something different point that it doesn't come directly to your mind when you talk about disinvestment, right? So what is the point? Deepening of capital market and spread of equity culture.
So what is the means of deepening of capital market and equity business?
When the government says it has 100% shares, so in BSN it has 100%, right? When it offloads say 25%. Now people will have the shares. They will trade in the market. In which market? Capital market.
And Indians don't generally have a lack of equity culture.
लेकिन this investment और ज़्यादा मतलब market में वो चीज़ travel करेगी.
Exactly.
Commodity है. In form of stocks.
Now here the features are given, features of current disinvestment policy. It says PSUs are wealth of the nation, and to ensure this wealth rests in the hands of people. So promote public ownership of CPSCs. So means the policy says we won't go for the privatization. The ownership will still remain in the hands of the government. So government will retain majority shareholding for at least 51%. Strategic disinvestment could be there by a sale of substantial portion of government shareholdings in identified CPSCs up to 50% or more. So here strategic disinvestment is a component.
Here they are doing.
So here they are doing it along with transfer of management control as well.
50%.
So here I think about 24 government can reduce its share by even by 24% to 24%.
तो सर उसमें कुछ ऐसा क्लॉज है कि मैक्सिमम गवर्नमेंट का ही रहना चाहिए
नहीं अभी ये strategic disinvestment
Strategic disinvestment. Reforms, measures and policy initiatives, fast tracking of approvals. Then there is program, certain program, disinvestment program, made more inclusive by expanding public participation. So it says that in the offer for sale of shares through stock exchange mechanism by reserving a minimum of 10% of offer size for retail investors. So when I talk about capital market or say the basic issue comes regarding the interest of the retail investors, right? The big investors then they can easily protect their interest, but what about the retail investors? So that's why even in the when you say about the corporate governance or whatever, the major focus of the corporate governance is where over the protecting the interest and the safeguarding the interest of whom?
shareholders.
Retail basically, retail small shareholders, isn't it? So here also they are saying that this mechanism would be made inclusive. How inclusive? Reserving a minimum of 10% of offer size for retail investors. So now more and more small investors would be included. So this is the SEBI has expanded the framework. So as minimum was 10%, the government has done how much? 20%. So are you able to get it? So SEBI has relaxed the norm. SEBI has said about minimum 10% it should be there. So government went ahead with it and it made 20%. Restructuring the name by Deepam, you can say now instead of Department of Disinvestment we have Deepam. Then there is National Investment Fund. It says that this fund from this investment that was to be channelized into National Investment Fund. It says that as per the scheme, 75% of the annual income of NIF was to be used for financing selected social sector schemes which promote education, health, employment. Residual 25% to meet capital investment requirement of the profitable and revival PSU. So this is what you're asking, right, Divya? So here now this was expanded further. So it was expanded further and it was given later on. Demonetization, we have read it already. What are the basic objectives? That's all from this chapter. So for the revision part, focus on the schemes. You can use the yojanas and you could skip this disinvestment and whatever. It's basically for mains point of view. Infrastructure also for mains point of view. Else that is part of your basic economy understanding. It's a very big chapter in India Yearbook, very more than I think 140 pages chapter this is. Department of Language under which ministry?
sorry it's not
Huh?
Of language.
Do you have this department?
HRD.
Culture of the
Hmm?
Directly under control of president.
culture context and culture. Culture.
I think it's under MHA.
Culture of movement, sir.
Hmm? What are the departments under MHA? Hmm?
MHA को किरण रज्जू was seen.
MHA, right? Then Jammu and Kashmir के regarding में department है कुछ Jammu and Kashmir affairs like this.
Anything related to JNK?
By then you revise those Yojana schemes. So a couple of schemes are there. So whatever, revise them. Here we have just have a look. Ministry of Home Affairs. So there is internal security, states. So there is Department of States as well. Official language. Home Department, Department of Jammu and Kashmir Affairs, and Department of Border Management. So these are departments under MHE. Secretaries. There are different secretaries. Okay, now we come to the next chapter, chapter number 16, that is health. There is National Health Policy 2017. Well, it has given National Health Policy 2002. So that is of no more use for us. We are more concerned about the current health policy. So this health policy is very important for both PT and mains. Right, so as this yearbook is of last, say it has the data till the last year. So because now this year only this new health policy has been announced. Now what are the components? You have done it already at one time in the class. बताइए. So that is given there. You can see what are the major points regarding national health policy.
Sir, first was from to shift to preventive.
Yes, good.
His GDP was 3%, huh?
2.5%.
1.5%. Right now
It says 1.15%, but recently an article came which says 1.4%. So maybe it has increased.
Yes, sir, अभी तो 1.3 है अपने article में.
But then if I remember correctly, it says, but it doesn't matter a lot. You still have an idea because these are not exact figures. It varies because different sources it varies. So somewhat it could vary. So about 1.2% you can have an idea. So how much that is to be increased to? 2.5% of GDP.
What are we discussing?
National Health Policy. Next chapter we have, that is health. So the first one of the point, it says that instead of sick care to wellness. So overall well-being of a person is the objective, and focus would be on the prevention. So prevention and well-being. Increasing the public health expenditure. If include both, at one time I read one data about 1 or 2 years ago, it was total health expenditure was how much? 4%. But as I read recently, it says around more than 4%, around 4.7 or 5% around it is. So you need to see on whatever is written exactly. One thing is total health expenditure, that includes both public and private. Here we are talking about what? Public health expenditure. That is to be increased to 2.5%. How much presently? Around 1.2%. So focus on quality services and technology despite financial barriers. So regarding health, just like education in health, what is the basic objective? Basic objective is to have quality, universal, affordable, accessible health services. So they focus on quality, The healthcare should be of quality, good quality. Should be accessible as well, easily accessible, right? Affordable, that everybody could afford it. Universal to everybody, to overall to all the regions, to every community, inclusive. So these are basic components, objectives of any of the health policy. And universal health coverage, who proposed it in India first time?
Sir, Rangan, Srinath.
Very good, both अच्छे.
Srinath.
Srinath Reddy Committee. So Dr. Srinath Reddy Committee under erstwhile Planning Commission.
Yes.
So in 2011 times, 11, 12 time, this no under 11th Planning Commission it was.
2011-12.
Yes.
Right.
It was high powered committee, right? Even universal health coverage is one of the component under SDG also.
Yes.
Under WHO also promotes universal health coverage. But from Indian standpoint, we have Dr. Srinath Reddy Committee. And any of those these objectives to be achieved, we have to focus more on where? Primary health care. Why? Because these are the first, you can say.
They are the that connect to rural villages, and they lie on the edge.
Because whenever you need any of the healthcare, you go first to the primary healthcare, right? And focus is on the Ayush as well. Yes, reduce and the issues regarding NCD, reduce morbidity and preventable mortality of non-communicable diseases. A huge problem is regarding non-communicable diseases. A lot of deaths occurring due to NCDs. One of the data says around 40% of the all mortalities of the due to health is occurring because of non-communicable disease.
Yes.
Then Ayush is to be used as a tool for effective prevention and therapy that is safe and cost effective. So Ayush is given the focus. Moreover, yoga is to be encouraged in schools and offices. Then certain targets are there. So these are certain targets regarding IMR, under 5 MR and life expectancy. So remember certain targets. So for IMR 28 by 2019, under 5 MR 23 by 2025, and life expectancy at birth 70 by 2025. So at least remember IMR and under 5 MR. Then health for all is part of SDG as well, universal health coverage, health for all in India. Issues regarding mobilization of resources, funding. One thing is lack of capacity to use high levels of public funding for health. So, because one of the excuse to not devolve much of the funds for the health, the government gives sometimes is what? Lack of capacity. What is lack of capacity? Like lack of capacity to use that fund basically. So what it says that lack of capacity to use high level of public funding for health. They say we don't have such administrative capacity, we don't have such capacity to even use the higher level of funds. So that is used as an excuse basically. So but it cannot be done, so you need to increase them. If you don't have the capacity, work on that.
Create capacity.
Right, create capacity. Use that fund in creating that capacity at least. So focus to be given primary healthcare, more health professionals, contracting of health services from private sector, regulation accreditation of agencies as well, robust health data, and reduce high out-of-pocket expenditure. So what is this high out-of-pocket expenditure? The question can come in mains. It's a very good question regarding high out-of-pocket expenditure. Yes.
You have to pay for the doctor's fees and medicine,
Mhm.
whatever, because you don't have insurance.
Yes, right.
Yes, diagnostic is
Hmm.
Major
Hmm.
scam.
So explain more. What else? If the question comes regarding high out-of-pocket spending or expenditure,
So this is like data at about
bring certain
7%.
emotions in that, right?
So actually rural poor people, they are the already vulnerable, they don't have income, and like
Yes,
60% of their
yes.
employees is spending in
This is what I was asking actually.
70% of.
राइट आप जो कह रहे हैं टेक्निकली करेक्ट है
Human touch नहीं है.
नहीं ही इज करेक्ट यस यू हैव टू ब्रिंग इन दो सर्टेन टाइम यू हैव टू ब्रिंग दोज
Emotional.
सो व्हाट इज देयर नाउ यू एक्सप्लेन कुशाग्र इसको पूरा फिर से एक्सप्लेन करिए क्या होता है ये
Sir, the percentage of total expenditure spent on availing medical services, which may include medicines, doctor fees, diagnostics,
Right.
etc. And certain various reports put this figure from 60 to 70% in India.
अभी भी इमोशन नहीं आ रहा
Emotions are true, and now especially in a country which is disordered, which has so many people hovering around the poverty line, this kind of expenditures pushes people further into the poverty, and who are above poverty again into the poverty.
People
So what
who
is-
don't have money to eat are expending.
right so what is happening there as you people told that
Yes, sir. 4 days ago, आया था of India's healthcare spend 2/3 out of patients' pockets.
right how much that comes to be around 68 69 right. So on an average around 70% you can say to remember it. So it means okay why they have to do so because once they go to the government they don't get the adequate facilities there they have to resort to the private is charged very high right so they're basically paying major part of their income so major part of their income is going where in the health expenditure right and major how much 2/3 around 70% 70% of that is going into the health expenditure
Nice. One of the
अगर कोई
highest
20,000 रुपए कमा रहा है तो 14,000 is going in the health expenditure so it is basically pushing the person into deeper poverty so already poor people ठीक है पहले से गरीब है and major portion going again because of high out of pocket expenditure again going into the to the health so deeper poverty
India is third highest.
third highest
Southeast Asia.
and it's a report of what
Sir, this is a
Family Health Survey.
WHO World Health Survey.
WHO report
what was the
First is Myanmar.
यहाँ पर हमें कंपटीशन नहीं करना ऊपर जाने को
Yes. Second is I think Bangladesh. The world at 3.2% of Indians fall into the poverty line because of this.
Okay, now-
we are worse than Pakistan.
Yeah, we are much worse. Pakistan is 40%.
Now come to next National Health Mission. So read it again. Remember the exact things about health policy. Important for both PD and mains. National Health Mission. So we earlier there was only National Health Mission. Earlier Rural Health Mission, Urban Health Mission. They were submerged into one National Health Mission. So under this National Health Mission, we have two submissions. One is for rural, another for urban. Right. So two submission, rural health mission and urban health mission. Objective again those same keywords. Remember these keywords, they will help you a lot. Universal, equitable, affordable, quality. See, question of health comes, these 5-6 words, they can in fact make your whole answer very beautiful. Because they gives the basic values of any of the healthcare service. And you can use this term in say in education also. Right? Education should also be equitable, affordable, quality, isn't it? Then say that under NHM, the certain achievements that have been made. IMR, it says average 42 that India has achieved by 2013 by this common review mission under NHM. So by 2013 data we have IMR of about 42. MMR 178.
Sir, अभी recent data तो short है MMR.
No, this is 2013 data it is.
140.
About MMR, right? Yes.
140.
One?
142
I think 114 के around है. 110, 114 के around. Right? चेक करिए जरा फिर आप इसको।
सर हमें ना 114 के करीब है।
114 के करीब है ना। Availability of drugs, procurement, storage. It has also said that reduction in out-of-pocket expense from 72% to 60%. But other way around, we have seen that how it is so high. So still, even if you go by this data, 60% is very high, right? Even if you say accept this data, still it's very high. But yes, there is improvement. Certain initiatives under NHM, now certain initiatives you see through them. One is Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram for the comprehensive healthcare quality of the children through early detection of birth defects, disease deficiencies, development delays, including disability. So that is Bal Swasthya Karyakram. So children we have Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram. In what areas it sees through? Early detection of birth defects, disease deficiency, development delays, including disability. Remember these. Then Kishore Swasthya Karyakram, Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. Just like Sabla we had for the adults and girls, that is for both. Why it is important? You can see how much adolescents we have in India. 253 million adolescents. So remember this data for mains. How much they come to be? 21%. By bringing several new dimensions like mental health, nutrition, substance misuse, injuries, violence, and non-communicable disease. Remember all these components. If the questions will come, it will include these components definitely.
So what is substance misuse?
Substance drugs.
Narcotics.
ठीक है? Then it broadens the focus of adolescent health program beyond reproductive and sexual health and brings in focus on life skills, nutrition, injuries and violence, including gender-based violence and non-communicable disease, mental health and substance misuse. So these are the important components of Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. Another important component, community-based, peer-led intervention it is. So these are three basic. So it's a new program, so it has importance. बताइए प्रिया, the राष्ट्रीय किशोर स्वास्थ्य कार्यक्रम.
So adolescent age required से शुरू होती है.
11 to 18.
उसमें सबला आपका कहाँ से कहाँ तक था? वो 19, 18 or 19?
11
से
18 था.
10 to 19.
11 to
WHO
18.
says 10 to 19. WHO says 10 to
11 to
19.
18 है सर.
11 to 18 India.
सब लोग भेज रहे हैं.
So important components, किशोर स्वास्थ्य कार्यक्रम, राष्ट्रीय किशोर स्वास्थ्य कार्यक्रम. अभिषेक बताइए.
Sir, 11 to 18.
11 to 18.
So for adolescents, the needs of adolescents for nutritional needs and health needs to prevent injuries in adolescent age.
What else?
So mental health,
Hmm.
injuries, substance misuse, and NCDs.
NCDs.
Incidents come on.
Hmm. What else? Divya?
Increase in
So
nutrition.
basically, this is a comprehensive scheme. It will include almost all the things what a child faces.
Adolescent.
Adolescents.
How many adolescents?
So
50 million.
20% of the population.
What other? It's a community-led peer intervention. So there is involvement of the community, platform community it will be. And it also includes gender violence as well. So one of the statement can come in this way. Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyagram. It also includes gender violence. Yes, it is. Even this weekly iron folic acid supplementation program, this is also one of the part of Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyagram. They are also distributed as part of nutrition, basically. So adolescent anemia, adolescent population tend to here they talk about 10 to 19 years, right? So that's why there are at different places you had different age groups.
That's why WHO says 10 to
10 to 19 years of age in both rural and urban areas, weekly iron folic acid supplementation. The National Urban Health Mission, so improve health status of the urban population, particularly of urban poor. So an urban health mission, though it is for everybody, but focus on urban poor and other vulnerables. Now, which cities will be selected? 50,000 and above. Population of 50,000 and above. All state capitals, district headquarters, and other cities and towns with 50,000 above, as per 11 census. Funding pattern 75-25 and 90-10. 90-10 for these hilly areas, northeastern states, and all. Major initiatives: ASHA. Yes, very important contribution of ASHA workers. So they are the they are the first interface that outreach that brings those health services at the doorstep of the rural. Basically, their contribution more in the for the pregnant ladies and nutrition of the children as well. So they act as facilitators, mobilizer, and provider of community level care. First port of call in the community, especially for marginalized section of population. Focus on women and children. So it says that this one of the mission, they say work of ASHA that has brought positive outcomes in increase of, we have seen this increase in institution delivery, immunization, yes. Right? So there are these we have improved a lot on immunization. We improved on those institution delivery because of the work done by the commendable work done by the ASHA workers. So we should appreciate in our answers when we write about the contribution of ASHAs. Improved breastfeeding practices, nutrition practices. So for the first 6 months, only breastfeeding should be there. So, but there had been certain like social unawareness, certain cultural norms as well. So role of ASHA workers, very important. So again, you see through that. Rogi Kalyan Samiti. So basically, ASHA, you can use it somewhere in the mains. In PT, less chances to be asked. But still, 15 में आया था. So ASHA बहुत important आपको right. It remains important. Rogi Kalyan Samiti. So the Samiti, it's a kind of the committee where council that is members, they act for the basically responsible for the maintaining good services in the hospital. So better facility for the patients, and also these members, they work as a trustee. Rogi Kalyan Samiti. So the Samiti will do what? Will see over whether the services are provided well or not in the hospitals or not. So they'll help in maintaining the good facilities, good quality care, healthcare facilities in those hospitals. Janani Suraksha Yojana, to encourage institution delivery by providing the cash assistance. Sishu Suraksha Karyakram, institution delivery again, so providing the free of cost delivery, drugs, medicines, transportation cost, even the these cesarean section operation as well. So every kind of those they are provided free of cost to the women, basically to encourage institutional delivery. So both are there, Janani Suraksha Yojana and Janani Sishu Suraksha Karyagram. So remember these schemes.
What is the difference?
Here they are getting the cash assistance. In here they are getting those expenses, no expenses to avail these services.
See, first one Shishu was not included.
Yes.
And the second one Shishu is included.
Ambulance service 102 108 you can dial. Facility based newborn care, you can so there are certain facilities are given for the newborn children. So essential care right from the time of birth and first 48 hours at the health facility wherever they are in the institution, and then during the first 42 days of life at the home. So that is facility based newborn care. National Commission Population, you can read it, it's for mains basically, and even if you have the sociology optional, so somewhere in the paper 2 it can be of helpful. Anybody of you having sociology as an optional, then you can it's basically for paper 2 it could be in sociology could be asked. Else for mains you can have an idea about the population policy, what the population policy is. Else for PT you can leave it. The National Population Stabilization Fund, this also you can leave it. Child health program, data you can see through for the mains. It says under 5 mortality rate
42.
from 125 to 42. So 125 in 1990 to 42 in 2015. So this is the achievement that we have achieved. Then it's about child mortality, certain data it gives that about 45% of under 5 death take place within the first 7 days of birth, and 57% of within the first 1 month of birth, and approximately 81% within 1 year of birth. So it gives that where the focus more strategy should be within the first 1 year. Causes, what could be the causes? Neonatal causes, pneumonia, diarrhea, measles, and malnutrition. So these are major causes. So you can see malnutrition, 33%, a huge percentage of malnutrition. Family planning program. So we have national population policy. How this family planning program, you can link it to whenever the question comes regarding family planning and all, how you can bring other points you can write. Then the current, a couple of years ago regarding family planning, sterilization mass camp was organized in Chhattisgarh, Bilaspur, right? Yeah, around 20-30 women they got, yeah, they died because of that. Yes, exactly. So what was the issue?
By materialistic dogma.
What?
Why it happened? Why? So you should bring it that there are patriarchal norms. One thing is, though in
Men were supposed to do, but
yeah,
women were forced to undergo this.
though in
process.
population policy it doesn't discriminate gender based. It doesn't go for gender based sterilization. Both could be, both are equally favored. But basically, as per se, in the practical sense, tubectomy is more complicated than the vasectomy, right? But still, because of patriarchal norms, on one side there are patriarchal norms, on the other side there are certain targets, and even incentives for the doctors, incentives for the ashas, right, to bring more and more women for the sterilization. But when they go and convince, whom they convince? They convince the women. They don't talk to the men, isn't it? So this kind of patriarchal norms, having clubbed with this incentives and targets, it make the woman basically forced to the sterilization. And going by the kind of the norms being followed on those mass camps, in mass camps the standards could not be kept, standards of high quality could not be kept, right? Could lead to the those kind of the tragic incidents like that happened in Bilaspur. ICMR for research. right? Certain research activities, AMR. So AMR is very much in the news. Antimicrobial resistance. There is AMR surveillance network, indigenous TB diagnostics, RNTCP. These had been certain activities, certain research activities. Then there is Ministry of Ayush. Ayush ministry is given a lot of focus. Earlier there was a department. Now a separate ministry is there. It itself shows the importance given to Ayush. Right. Now Sovarikpa is also included in the existing system of Ayush. So remember this thing. Apart from those, say, what all comes under Ayush system? Ayurveda. You could go by Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, Homeopathy. Naturopathy भी आपका, and then Sovarikpa. So 7 these are.
6 plus 1.
Yes, 6 plus 1. So Ayush service under National Ayush Mission, it says cost-effective Ayush services with universal access is one of the strategy. Under NRHM, a large number of Ayush facilities have been provided, and even under our present National Health Policy 2017, again impetus is given to Ayush. So that's all from this chapter. So what you need to revise, we again go through it. This policy you revise. Even you just learn each and everything about this policy. It's very, very, the most important topic is this National Health Policy 2017. Mission, go through it. What all are the mission? No need to go too much deep into the data. Even if you forget, have an idea just. Karyakrams, even among this Karyakram, this Kishore Swasthya Karyakram is more important. See through these, even if you remember the headings itself, Asha important, yeah. See through this, these yojnas and a couple of these schemes. Last you can leave it. This family planning, population policy, because these had been the old initiatives. So that's all. We come to the next chapter, housing. So regarding housing, we discuss about urbanization first. So urbanization, we consider urbanization as engine of economic growth. So it's very important vehicle of economic development. It gives certain data about the cities and towns as per 11th census. Now you can see directly what the data you can remember is the population, proportion of population in urban areas has increased to 31%. As per 2011 census, but it also comes, so you should also juxtapose it along with the issues coming along with it. So slum population has also increased. How much slum population? 18% urban population. So 377 million people are living in slums. That shows the gravity of the problem there. So though on one side urbanization, engine of economic growth, but when it is juxtaposed with increasing slum population along with it, it shows huge issues regarding the inequitable urbanization, right? Haphazard urbanization that is going along with it. So this data is important for, you can say, in paper 1. Paper 1 urbanization is your topic. More data they give, even you can forget the later one, but initial one you should remember. At least slum population. It shows the gravity of the problem. 377 million people living in slums. Then housing shortage, 18 million, of which 96% basically who will be without the shelter? The poor people. So from economically weaker section, lower income group categories. Now we have housing for all. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, housing for all mission. Housing for all, urban. Here we have now urban. So housing for all by 2022. You know the date. You know this year definitely. Why this year is important for us?
75 years of
Exactly correct. And also for this year, you read those Paika Rebellion, Champaran Satyagraha. These are very important. You should see through it. Yes, Champaran Day, it is centenary year, and Paika 200 years. So see through it. If the question is asked, these are prominent topics, and the question may be asked in the mains as well in a different way.
Outside the parameter for some moment.
And the question could be was 1857 was really the first war of independence, right?
How did Champaran Satyagraha change the social fabric?
So there you should, if you don't know, was there any other rebellion before 1857? So you cannot answer it exactly. So you see through the points again. Awas Yojana 2022, urban poor living in slums and others. And there are the components. Now we read the components. These are important components. First component is slum rehabilitation. So we first do the rehabilitation of slums. How? With the participation, redevelopment of slums with participation of private developers using land as a resource. And grant of 1 lakh per house on an average for all eligible slum dwellers in all the projects. So first thing is redevelopment of slums and the rehabilitation of slums. How we do that? Involving the private sector with land as a resource. How this could be used? Land as a resource. Yes, even private can gain a lot, isn't it? Yes. The land, even though basically cities, land has huge value attached to it. So land could be used as a resource by the private as well, and even private can gain from that. Promotion of affordable housing for weaker sections through credit-linked subsidy. So first point is you rehabilitate the slums by using private sector and using land as a resource. Secondly, affordable housing. What is in affordable housing? You subsidize the interest. You subsidize the credit-linked subsidy. With the credit-linked subsidy means subsidize the interest. So here the interest would be reduced to 4%. And if the interest rate varies, even then interest subvention would remain at 6.5% and interest payable after subvention would vary. The subsidy. So basically you remember this thing only: affordable housing, interest subvention. So interest rate subvention will be there. And affordable housing in partnership with public and private sector. Then subsidy for beneficiary-led individual house construction enhancement. So here the individual people would be encouraged. If you construct your house, we would provide you the subsidy for that. So how much? 1.5 lakh per house for EWS category. So these are 4 different components. So I believe you are able to differentiate among these 4. In first component, we go through them once again. Slum rehabilitation. How it will be done by the private players. They will use the land as a resource, and again subsidy could be given there. Secondly, affordable housing, interest subvention. ये 4% तक की उनको interest देना होगा बस. Third, public private, affordable housing including both public private. Fourth, encourage the beneficiaries to construct their own houses and give them subsidy. How much? 1.5 lakh rupees. So these are 4 components. Beneficiaries, who will be the beneficiaries? Husband, wife, unmarried son and unmarried daughter. And they should not have own a pakka house either in his, her or any members of the family name in the country. So this is the condition given there. So read the components once again. प्रिया बताइए about housing for all urban.
Slum rehabilitation by private developer using the energy resources.
Second,
Affordable housing program. And
what is there in affordable housing? Interest?
Interest subvention.
Interest rate subvention, yes, correct.
Affordable housing for
Public and private, they both will do. Fourth?
Fourth one subsidy.
Subsidy. So what is there? क्या है दिव्या वहाँ पर?
For individual construction.
Individual construction.
1.5 lakh subsidy.
Right. And these are the beneficiaries, and there is technology submission as well. Yes, submission will help in bringing more better technologies, modern innovative green technologies, building material for faster and quality construction of houses. Even if you see the better use of resources, recently our transport, this road highway minister Nitin Gadkari. So when this motor amendment, vehicle amendment, to just do away with red beacons, right? So now you don't have one of the motivation for you to study now. Right? So there won't be any red beacon. But there are so many other encouragements. So what is proposed that even they are mulling over this idea, why they have so many huge bungalows there for the ministers and MPs in the central Delhi. Land is a huge value it has, right? At one side there are slums, and at one side they're living in a huge bungalows and huge maintenance cost attached to it. So why not have the multi-story buildings, right? And they could be allotted the say 6,000, 8,000 square feet flats for those ministers and MPs, and the land could be used in a certain more efficient way. Somewhere else it could be used.
There is a provision for multi-story buildings for MPs, but for opposition party MPs in Delhi only.
Means you are talking about the central government.
Yeah, central government member of parliament उनके लिए multi-story building for opposition, not for.
But he basically discussed about for the ministers. Once they talk about ministers, so each and everybody means MPs from both. Right, because there's no luxury. So there is huge issue regarding the housing, slum issues there, right? One of the problem why slums are still there in the existence. One thing you can talk the various issues regarding slums and why the government is not able to give the houses and all. But even when the government gives them the flats, houses, they don't go and live there. They rent out that. Why? One of the reason is that those flats are given on the periphery of city.
Yes.
Outside the city.
This scheme, most of these guys return those flats.
Right, exactly. Correct.
Because they are in the periphery and they have zero.
Right.
Facility.
Now, those people, we need to understand, they're the poor people, right? They cannot commute a lot from the periphery of city, spending a lot of the, say, traveling expenses and the traveling time and all, a lot. So, this is one of the reason why it is there. So houses, even if they are given the houses, whatever the flats, they should be near to their workplace. Right? Even we cannot afford people commuting a lot in so much huge traffic-ridden Delhi city. This kind of the traffic we see. Then we have Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Urban Livelihood Mission. So Antyodaya Yojana, so earlier it was NULM, National Urban Livelihood Mission. So it is one of the component under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. So what all are covered, all statutory towns, and it is now renamed as one of the component as brought under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. Antyodaya. So basically livelihood purpose it is. You can see who are the basically beneficiaries. the poor people, urban poor. Why? Because we are discussing Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Urban Livelihood Mission as one of the components. Urban poor, including urban homeless. So who are those urban poor who are included? Homeless, particularly emphasis on the mobilization of vulnerable section of urban population, SC, ST, minorities, female-headed households, person with disability, destitute, migrant laborers, especially vulnerable occupational groups like street vendors, rag pickers, domestic workers, beggars, construction workers, etc. So these are the beneficiaries under Antyodaya Yojana. So what will be given to them? Shelters to the homeless and livelihood. So both of the concern would be taken. So under this Antyodaya Yojana, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana for urban livelihood, what is there? Shelter will be given and livelihood both. How it will be done? Again the components are there. First component, social mobilization and institution development. How? Through SHGs. SHG and their federation. Secondly, capacity building and training. So there will be training of those, capacity building will be there. Then skill training and placements. So once they are given the training and all, so they will be given the placement, skill training will be there and placement should be given. So on one side you are giving them skills and giving them placements, employment. Other way is self-employment. So in the fourth component is self-employment program. Focus on the financial assistance to the individuals for setting up gainful employment. Fifth, support to street vendors. The people who are the street vendors, what to do for them? So to give them security, to give them the basically to protect them. So we have the act also now, Street Vending Act 2014, right? So now this support to urban street vendors, it will cover development of vendor market, credit enable of vendors, socio-economic survey of these will be done and all, and convergence of assistance under the various scheme of the government. Shelter for urban homeless. So shelters will be given to the homeless people, urban homeless, with essential services. ऐसा नहीं घर बना के दे दिया. That should be equipped with the basic essential services, sanitation, water, electricity and all. Innovative and special project. So this will help in sustainable approach to urban livelihood through public-private community partnership, PPCP. So these are 7 components under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Urban Livelihood Mission. So let's see the components once again. Who are the beneficiaries? The poor, urban homeless, and the whatever comes to your mind regarding the vulnerable section in the city, that all will be there, right? SC, ST, minorities, migrant laborers, destitute,
So
disabled.
how will we understand or what is the criteria of taking SC, ST minorities or women?
Miss, I didn't understand.
I
Miss,
mean,
who are from these categories, they will get the benefit.
I read somewhere that on the basis of STAT 2011, these sections would be selected.
SC, ST तो पहले से पता है हमें कौन SC, ST, right?
I was reading
EWS.
PT question only. I was reading PT question only, and the option was right like set to be used as a criteria.
Regarding what?
Eligibility.
Regarding what?
For selecting these beneficiaries.
Which beneficiaries in this scheme? Antyodaya Yojana.
Deen Dayal Antyodaya. Yes, sir.
Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. Socio-economic caste census.
Yes, sir.
Let's see.
Include what, sir? Use over. Socio-economic census basis.
Yes, because all these categories, see, regarding SC, ST, we don't need, say, a separate census for it. The people who are just categorized according to it, they are. But all these categories, they won't be available with the available data. Those are included in the socio-economic caste census. In the SECC, various other, based on the caste also, various other data was brought along with it.
Sir, for Ujjwala, they are using socio-economic. For Ujjwala, government is using socio-economic.
Yes, Ujjwala.
Yes, sir.
For the free LPG
Yes.
cylinders, right? Free LPG connection. because what the thing is, in this kind of the beneficiaries, various kind of the beneficiaries are there. So definitely to certain select somewhere the socioeconomic caste census could be used.
Or it needs a certificate.
Now see through the components once again. So who are the beneficiaries? These are the beneficiaries, the urban poor basically, and the vulnerable section of urban. So what to do for them? Livelihood and the shelter, both will be there. How livelihood? One thing is link them through the social mobilization, link through the SCG and SCG federation. Secondary capacity building of those. Third, skill training and employment. Fourth, self-employment, and then another is yeah, correct. Fourth, self-employment. Fifth is urban vendor, and then shelter to homeless. Right. Then finally, innovative and special projects. So you can remember the components as looking over the objective. Yes, Divya, the components of Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. What is the objective?
So the objective is to provide livelihood and housing for vulnerable.
What are the components?
Components are to rehabilitate or to provide them livelihood is through street vendor scheme, through self-help scheme, like SHG, utilization of SHG and collective schemes. And there is
Read the headings once again. Abhishek.
So first social mobilization, second is
How social mobilization?
through Bhasha. Also
SHGs in the federation. Yes.
Second is capacity building. Third is employment through skill training. Fourth is self-employment. Fifth is urban housing. Sixth is street vendors, and seventh is
Both अच्छे.
institutional.
Good. Yes.
Innovative.
So all these are components under this. Now there are acts linked to the housing sector. One is Street Vendors Act. Another is Real Estate. Now this is also very important act. Real Estate Regulation Development Act. For both PD and mains it is important. Why this act was required? What is the basic objective of this act? बताइए.
Because private developers were not given, delivering what they promised.
Exactly.
And
Yes, so there was, even you see the real estate people, they had certain, there lot of opaqueness was there in the kind of working in the real estate sector, and people, they had, even whenever they buy a home, they're putting the whole savings of their life into buying the home, right? So they huge issues were regarding the giving justice to those people, how the system could be made more transparent so that people, they have faith in the system, have credibility in the system, right? So this was one of the objective, that giving justice and restoring faith and credibility of real estate. And how this could be done? By bringing more transparency into it, holding those builders accountable, right? Having certain institutional mechanism so that that sector could be regulated, regulation could be made there, and people could be given justice by certain mechanism. And it would help not only say on one side bring more and more faith into the sector, but it will also bring more construction, say more economic activities in the construction sector, right? It will also help in bring more investment as well, Because when people they see system is transparent, they will be more encouraged to invest. Right? How this could be done? Now there are different mechanisms for it. It says, first we see the objective. It says uniform regulatory mechanism across the country and enhance the growth of construction sector. So this is the basic objective. Then transaction real estate sector between promoters and buyers, re-rise their real estate regulatory authority and real estate appellate tribunals to settle the disputes. Escrow account. So because what was happening, these builders, they were getting the money from the investors, from people like you and me, and whenever they get the money, now that money is used in some other project.
You don't get possession.
Right.
And they can run away easily also.
So now by this, it says 70% of the amount will be put in escrow account, and it should be used only for the construction of that project only. For that purpose, this amount was taken. Regarding carpet area, now they cannot change the carpet area. Earlier they could change the design carpet area without even getting the consent of the buyers. Now certain about two-third whatever certain proportion is there. They have to take the consent of the buyers, then only they could change the main design, carpet area, whatever it is. So these are regarding Real Estate Regulation Development Act. Then Town Vending Committee and Street Vendor Survey. So what they do, they give license, certificates to the street vendors, so that the street vendors, they also understand, they also maintain the cleanliness and hygiene around their wherever they work. Also not disturb the activities, the whatever the movement of the people and the vehicles, right? So both things are maintained, protecting them against any kind of the say harassment on one side. On second side, also making sure they also doing their duty as well that is given to them. Town Vending Committee and Street Vendor Survey. So it helps in giving the license, vending license, certificates and all. Development agenda and sustainable development goals. So regarding housing, there are 3 goals under SDG. How many total goals? 17 goals and targets.
169.
Right. So there are 3 goals linked to housing they have brought. End poverty in all its forms everywhere. So indirectly it has also the component they should have shelter. So goal number 1. Secondly, promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. So people who are living say in the cities or anywhere, they should also have access to the employment, decent employment, meaningful employment. Then cities should be inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable. So making a way for the smart cities or inclusive cities here. So these are 3 goals. So if the question next time comes to smart city, you should mention this thing as well. Goal number 11 of SDG. Also somehow to make our city or try to make our city a smart city. Right. In the last year, 2 questions were asked from smart city. Last year mains exam. Then there was Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Housing and Urban Development. Just remember, it comes under UN Habitat. So that's all from this chapter, housing. So what to revise again? This important data initially regarding urban population and slum population. Then this Awas Yojana, housing for all, urban. And Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, urban livelihood mission. Then RERA, street vendors you can remember directly what the act is, and RERA you should read. So these things, that's all for this chapter.
Okay, so that's all for today's class. If you like this video, you hit like and subscribe to our channel as well.